Hey, welcome back to A Faster Me. This video is brought to you by Sophisticated and Swanky, it's women clothing store. Get on the website, check it out. Use discount code AFM2024 for 25% off. This is going to be the Barry Wolfe Grand Prix, and this is the women's category 4-5. What's going on here, Ellen?
I just wanted to get a good start, so I was able to do that. There's about 22 riders in the race and a wide variety of, experience levels. There's some women who live locally, so they're coming out to race. So I knew I wanted to stay towards the front, and that was my plan.
Yeah, it's this is a very good event. They put it on pretty good every year. We've been going out there, I guess, the last 3-4 years or whatever. This year is the Masters State Championship, State Criterium Championship, however you want to put those couple words together. But yeah, it's very well done. You can see all the cones and everything's blocked off. A nice, isolated circuit here, and it's a really nice, fast flowing, good surface, all that kind of stuff.
And we were kind of torn of if I would do 2 races or race the Masters. I kind of wanted to do 2 races, but I was also pretty tired. I traveled last week, got home late Friday night, then we did the time trial out at Lake Los Angeles on Saturday, so decided to not do 2 races and just do the later race with a few more people in the race. Although the Masters category in with the men looked like a fun race, a lot of different women categories as well.
Yeah, that was definitely pretty exciting to see that little mix. So anyway, they've been doing that a lot this year. The Masters women have been racing with the 60-plus men. So, yeah. Anyway, as you can see the course map in the left-hand side up there, this is like going into the final turn here.
And Lisa did the Masters race earlier, so she wasn't originally going to do 2 races, but decided to jump in this race as well.
Yeah, so for the day, as you can see the weather, it's pretty good weather. It's about 60 degrees. It felt a little chilly in the morning, but it's pretty good. There was really no sun out and just a little bit of wind. On the back straight, there was a little bit of a head crosswind. So that made it a little bit easier here on the front straight, which is kind of like a false flat. Serious Cycling, as you can see the kit right there, Serious Cycling, they put on this event. So they had a really good turnout, really good showing. And like I said, every year they put on a pretty good event here. So this is like a little false flat here as well. And this is pretty much the only corner going into turn 1. This is pretty much the only corner that has like a little bit of technicalities to it or whatever. It's not too technical, but it's slightly decreasing radius. But since the road is so wide and smooth, it gives you pretty much a lot of room.
Yeah, nothing feels too technical on the course. Like you said, fast flowing.
Yeah, you see Sarah up there on the left in the peach kit. And this race was a little bit unique too, because there was some women that we hadn't seen kind of like off and on all year or whatever. It wasn't like the normal group of racers. It was a little bit of a mix today. So there's a little bit of an unknown out here, an unknown element of like who's strong, who's not, stuff like that. So a little different. But it was a good showing. I think it was over 20 riders in the race.
Yeah, and a lot of strong riders that just haven't had as much experience on racing crit. So some triathletes out here just maybe racing. I know at least somebody, it was their first crit ever. Somebody, it was maybe their second or third. So, that always brings a different dynamic in when you have a wide, range of skills. This is Audrey Williams, and so I know from racing with her in the past that typically she has a pretty good go gear of a nice steady pace, so I was real comfortable sitting second wheel here.
Yeah, I always say her name wrong. Audrey. Oh, she always has a big engine. She's really strong, can go for a long time. I think she was racing for Cal Poly San Luis Obispo at one point. I could be wrong, but I think I talked to her dad like the last couple years as well. But yeah, she's super strong and just can go for a long time.
We had, I think, 4 preems in this race. The first preem was announced on the starting line, and it was for a case of Celsius, which a number of women in the field were talking about. We can get them for free. I don't know that we want to be racing. So nobody was really seeming too excited to go for that first preem.
But we appreciate the support.
For sure.
Yeah. So here's just sitting second wheel. Like, are you having any thoughts or any game plan right now of how you wanted to race this weekend?
Well, I definitely wanted to stay towards the front and kind of practice sitting in, but also doing a little bit more of kind of what I want to do in the race, being able to move around, kind of follow attacks, just want to practice racing smarter. And that's something, Sarah and I both have been practicing. So I know she's on a different team, but it's nice to have a friendly person out there that you've raced with before and, maybe have some similar goals.
Yeah, you can see there, and I'm going to sound like a broken record again. You had 3 women that took that turn, and all 3 took like a different line, you, Sarah, and the lady up front. But yeah, those are just some of the things when you're, have such a huge, diverse group that you're going to have some of those different lines and stuff like that, just different race experience in different people. I just can't help myself, though. Every time I see a line that's like a little bit off or whatever, I just have to make a comment. Mm-hmm. I think that's my kryptonite.
And to my right, just can't quite see her, but that's April. She's wearing the Sierra Nevada Trek kit, so I think it's a local team, and she does live local, but kind of met her at the time trial a couple weeks ago, and kind of talking to her.
The individual time trial, right?
Yes.
So I have a question. You're sitting in the draft here, and then you move to the right. Like, why did you move over to the right?
I'm a little bit further back than I wanted to be, so I'm also a little bit impatient. I think I struggle with just kind of sitting in and being patient, so that's the, get out, and then kind of get back into the draft. So, but I am, I'd rather be like third or fourth wheel versus like 7 or 8.
This looks like a preem coming up, right?
I'm not sure.
Looks like it, because it looks like you're starting to gain some steam here, and you're probably going to go for a $100 preem.
Yes. So this was the first $100 preem, and the pace had been pretty slow, which normally when a preem is announced, the pace picks up pretty soon. So I decided, hey, I'll give it a go. $100 is a nice effort. I would have been happy just to win that. So I'm thinking it'll be pretty shocking if I win it, just because that sprint is so far. And then I'm thinking maybe I have a chance. And then no. So I see that Lonnie snags it at the last minute. So great job to her. She's, I think, just started racing this season and has progressed like really quickly. So it's great to see somebody out there with a positive attitude, racing their bike, having fun. So
yeah, and Lonnie's done great too, because like you said, racing for her first year, or at least this type of racing for her first year, she jumped right in. I mean, she was at all the tough races as well, not just the easy races, or not just the flat crit races. I remember seeing her out at UCLA. I want to say Tour de Marietta. I can't remember for sure if she was at Tour de Marietta or not. But yeah, she's pretty much raced like, almost every weekend. So she's racing Eldo as well. So yeah, I think that's a great way to get in. A lot of us come to this sport late, and even after we get in, you have some people saying, oh, don't do that race, that's for climbers. Oh, don't do this race, that's for sprinters, whatever the case may be. And I think she's done a great job, which accelerates that learning curve of just jumping in, not worrying about your results, just paying your dues and kind of gaining the experience that you kind of missed out on most of our lives.
And so here I was at the back just recovering from that effort. So I think that may have been my hardest effort of the race, is just that sprint for the $100. So I am able to recover pretty quickly. So it takes me maybe half a lap or a lap, and I feel that I'm able to recover a little bit. So
yeah, Lonnie said the same thing. She was like, after I won the $100, I was like, I don't even care what happens now. I can get dropped in. I got a free race basically, and a little left over.
But I knew that I did not want to stay back here in the back. So pretty quickly, I think I'm gonna move to the front, or back up towards the front.
Yeah, no, it's a good job though, just kind of hanging out and recovering. Obviously you don't want to get counterattacked or whatever from the back, but yeah, just sit in, kind of recover after a big effort, and then get back to business.
So here my heart rate is down to still pretty high for me, 160. I think I averaged 162, but it was down. I don't know if it was 170 at the Prix. So here is one of the triathlete girls. So I think that typically the engine is pretty big. So even if they're not so comfortable riding in a pack, I know that that's a wheel that I like to follow. So especially if they're gonna break away, I'd like to be there. So.
Yeah, it looks like a little bit of urgency up there. I don't know. I mean, the pace is not really high right here, but it is a little bit of a false flat. So I don't know if there's another Prix. I think it was. I think it might have been back-to-back Prix here. I can't remember what the second Prix was, but there's back-to-back Prix, and I think there was another Prix later that's for $100 as well.
And that one I didn't hear announced. I also didn't hear there was some glasses announced. So yeah, I don't know if that is this one. I didn't think it was back to back, but it's possible.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I can see someone's getting off the front a little bit up there, so maybe it was just a breakaway attempt.
Yeah, it looks like somebody had maybe taken it up the road a little bit.
And here's the young lady to the right that's in her first race, and it's a great job. You can tell, obviously, she doesn't have like the same maybe experience as all the other riders, but I think anyone that gets out here and puts themselves out here to get in a race, it deserves some kudos. And we're trying to grow the women's racing and the women's field to begin with. So yeah, I think we should also give a hand and some encouragement to anyone that's willing to get out there and race their bike.
And not give up. So to just be out there still putting in work and finishing the race, I think is a great job.
Exactly. So yeah, it looks like one of the riders tried to go off the front for a second, and I believe that's her on the left up there, and the group looks like they just brought her back. So here, if you see that right there, that's those things that I talk about all the time, is you see that's kind of like a T-bone angle there, and that's what we want to avoid. We don't want to go into corners at two completely different angles, and that's one reason why you shouldn't hug the curb so much. Usually it's going to be an outside angle that's going to cut across the apex. So that was just a good example for that split second of being able to see riders entering the apex of the turn at two completely different angles. So yeah, I think this is maybe a Prix. I don't know. It looks like they're kind of accelerated pretty hard up front up there.
And we are up to 24, which, I think we averaged 21.9 or something. So wasn't a super fast race, especially for being as flat and fast as it is. There was a lot of times where it just kind of felt like we were cruising. But I'd say 24 is above our average, so it's stretched out a little bit.
But I think also with the mix of riders that you have, I think 21.9 is actually a pretty good speed. Because again, there's not a ton of experience in the race, and not everybody's been racing this year doing crit. So yeah, I think it's a pretty good speed for the race that you have on hand. I think I like those peach uniforms too, just the color combination with the black in there. I think those they're new uniforms for this year, so yeah, I'm kind of liking them. The guys side also, you know, they have a guys team as well, and I think the kits look pretty nice.
I would agree. So here, just kind of moving up, trying to kind of be ready for anything. I'm not sure who this rider is. Can you see her number?
No, not exactly. I think it's yeah, I can't see it. Speed up and turn your head to the right, Ellen. 456.
Let's see. Abigail Fisher. 13 years old. So
what made you go to the front here?
I am not sure. Cannot recall, but I know I wasn't going to do too much work, so I think we had slowed down, and I definitely did not want a super slow race, so I'm just out. I'm doing maybe tempo. Here's a little bit more of an effort, so yeah.
Yeah, it's something I mention a lot. I mean, you know, to my team or whatever, it's okay to go to the front or to ride wherever you want to ride, but just make sure when you're doing efforts, it should benefit either you or your teammate. So you kind of don't want to just do things just to do them, because even though you might not be putting in that many watts, you're still on the front eating the wind, and people behind you are saving energy. So you know, even if it's just a little bit of energy, they're still saving more than what you're doing because you're pushing the wind. Ooh, that motorcycle went by fast. But yeah, so yeah, you're not doing any watts here, but yeah, you just don't want to be on the front unless it benefits you somehow or a teammate.
And that's a disadvantage of not having teammates is, you know, you need other people to kind of work together to keep the pace up, because I definitely prefer a faster race.
Yeah, and that can be what benefits you. I mean, if you just want to be out front to make it safer or to string it out, that could be a benefit of yours.
This was a preem right here, so they waited till like 50 meters.
Not even 50 meters. They waited for like 15 feet to sprint. But hey, that's the way to do it, honestly. You want to sprint as late as possible. You don't want to use all your energy for a preem. So if you have that luxury of sprinting later, then that's better.
And there was a free entry to CBR, which I'm not going to make it to, so I definitely wasn't going to try to get that. So I think Sarah may have asked, "Are you going for it?" And I said, "Nope." Just sometimes you can have frenemies. Motorcycle taking a little tight line in there. For what reason?
She was
not
giving
sure.
a thumbs up for some reason, so I don't know who she's talking to, or I think I can't see who it is on the motorcycle, but they're giving a thumbs up to someone in the front and speaking to them, and then almost turned a little tight.
Don't remember that excitement when it was happening live. No. No, but I was just saying sometimes it's nice to have, you know, a friend of me or someone in the race, because you have so many matches to burn. So, you know, sometimes if you can save one by maybe knowing what someone else is doing or using a friendly wheel, that can play to your, you know, benefit.
Yeah, definitely can. Sometimes it might just be getting back into the Peloton. You know, a lot of people have an issue getting back in once they've done an effort or something and they're trying to recover. And sometimes if you have a friendly wheel out there, you can just ask them to let you in or whatever, and you know, usually they'll move over for you a little bit. or slow down or speed up, whichever it is, to try to give you a little space to get back into some shelter.
And sometimes I love it because if you know that someone has motivation to stay to the front or you like to follow their wheel, it's a little bit, I guess easier to let them back in. So here I'm protected, but I realize I don't want to be in the middle of the Peloton with riders on both sides because it's much more challenging to move up. So I prefer to move up on the inside. So I think I'm going to work my way back to the inside because, man, the wide varieties of how people take the corners and the speeds is, not something I'm comfortable with further back in the Peloton. But at the same time, I think I've grown a lot in not being so uncomfortable or scared either. So, I kind of have more trust in my ability. So I feel like I can kind of navigate around people.
Yeah, they got the pace up a little bit again now. So back up to about 25 miles per hour on this little false flat.
And I believe that is April in front of me. I'm not 100% sure, but I was like, if you're going, I will gladly sit on your wheel.
Well, I think it was another Prix because it looks like
no.
she sat up a little bit at the line, so she accelerated through the line. She's definitely putting in a pretty good dig though here.
Not sure if.
Yeah, so we're down to it looks like we're maybe down to about 4 laps. I think maybe down to like the last 3 or 4 laps here.
This 30 minutes went super fast. Sometimes, I look down and only 8 minutes have passed and I'm dying. And here, it seemed crazy that when we had like 5 or 6 laps to go. Another thing, we had Lisa had a flat tire, I think, maybe a couple laps ago. I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear it live, but there's a huge
explosion.
A huge explosion sound, but she was able to safely move out of the way and nobody went down, so got a big gash in her tire. But it always sounds scary when you hear something behind you because it's not a good comforting sound.
Yeah, I think it was her rear tire. She came over to the pits, but unfortunately there was only like 3 laps to go, and you don't get a free lap with 3 laps to go. So there was like no one in the pit basically. So she would have had to try to change a tire and chase back on. She would have been a lap down. So basically her race was over at that point. All right, so she's been on the front for about almost a full lap now. So it's a pretty good effort here, just kind of pulling for almost a full lap.
It's that time trial effort of a triathlete.
Yeah.
So I was hoping to just keep going because second wheel I like quite well.
I think the young lady up front too in the serious cycling kit too. I'm not sure if that's who I was talking to before the race, but I think she said this was maybe her first crit also. It's a good job here by jumping over to this wheel. Again, the pace is up a little bit. Young lady here is putting in a very good dig. I don't know if there's another Prix or not though. She's putting in a good effort though.
Yeah, I think this must be a Prix.
Yeah, I think they did some back-to-back ones.
So I think that was the other $100 is my guess of just kind of where it placed. And so here I'm gonna go around and try to close this gap too, because I'm good if we can just go the last few laps and just see what happens.
Yeah, and she's really strong too, so honestly, if she would have kept going, she may have been able to establish a break. But, you're tired too after going for the Prix, so you don't know if you can hold on for 2 more laps or whatever. But she definitely has a strong engine, and I think she would have had a decent chance of just putting some pressure on the group if she'd have just kept going after the Prix. Especially because this downhill was coming up, but unfortunately, just from the wind direction today, this downhill was also into a headwind.
And I'm trying to be patient and just stay second wheel, but I find...
Yeah, you find yourself in the wind instead of sitting behind. Yeah.
So here I get back in. I'm really talking to myself to just stay patient.
Yeah, and you can see like moving over, you save so much energy. You're doing a little bit off and on here, but yeah, you just save so much more energy sitting on a wheel than opposed to pushing your own wind.
And she was shutting it down a little bit, but that's fine. We can sit here and go 19 miles an hour at zone 2. That's acceptable.
Yeah, as long as you're, protected a little, and, it doesn't look like anyone's trying to come around, so the speed is decent still.
So this is where I do follow her around a little bit all over the road.
No, I think she's basically like, I don't want to pull anymore, So there goes the attack there.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that may have been, I saw my watt spike up to like 600. So that's another thing I'm trying to work on, is responding a little bit quicker instead of just trying to gradually build up the power. So I was able to respond a little bit quicker than I have in the past.
Yeah, can you tell who that is going for the break up there? Or trying to break away?
I see the Sierra Nevada jersey. It may be April. And I can't tell if is this the last lap or going into the last lap?
No, it's not the last lap for sure. It's probably 2 laps to go.
Okay.
You could be going into the last lap. Yeah, you may be going into the last lap right here. You're close enough that we should be able to see the board when you pass. But yeah, this may be going into the last lap now. Because it's like 2 minutes a lap, something like that. Well, it's a little more than 2 minutes a lap, so almost 3 minutes a lap. So this should be going into the last lap here. Yep, there's a 1 there, so 1 to go on the lap board. So this is the last lap here. And what are you thinking here?
So I want to try to be about 4th or 5th wheel. So I know that the sprint is really long. So I'm not trying to do what I did earlier for the $100 Prix. So I'd like to be, maybe 4th or 5th wheel. But now I'm getting shuffled back a little bit further than I wanted to. And there's people on both sides of me, which I'm not wild about, because then it's hard to move up. But I'm still in pretty good position, pretty comfortable taking corners. So I was good. And then, I'm not sure how I end up going to the front here.
Well, it looks like you saw an opening and you didn't want to be boxed in, and you just kind of accelerated there, which was smart. You don't want to be too boxed in. I mean, it'd be better to have some protection right here, but obviously you don't want to be to where you can't move left or right. I think maybe staying on the inside behind someone would have been a little better, because even though you're not killing yourself here, you're still putting in, sweet spot type watts. So you're still burning a lot more energy knowing that a long sprint is coming up.
Yes. And then we are going to catch a lapped rider going into, I think, this corner before the last corner. It's hard to know if it's corner 3 or really corner 2, since
I call it corner 2, but yeah, technically it's 3, but the first part that you just turned, there was really no corner there. So
here I'm kind of torn. I don't want to have a big issue letting people kind of come around and catching a lapped rider. So I am kind of telling her, like, stay right, kind of stay, but she kind of comes across, but then I'm, not too much, but I'm just going to decide to go, even though I'm not crazy about this move, but I just say...
You have no choice now. You're on the front, so you have no choice. You can't slow down now and let someone get momentum on you. So once you decided to be here, you have no choice but to go.
So I'm just going to hope to hold off as many riders as I can. I was thinking, if I come in the top 5 or get a podium, I'd be happy, because, the sprint is so long. I know that chances of me holding it are very slim.
Yeah, I think you do a pretty good job, especially doing like a sweet spot to threshold effort before this sprint. So you're probably putting in almost a 2 minute effort here, a minute and a half effort. So I think it was a really good job of holding that long sprint. Lonnie just had a really good run and a really good sprint there and got you at the line. So yeah, it was a great job to both of you guys. Great job to Lonnie being patient and just, using that acceleration like the last 50 yards. Real quick, she said it was also her first time sprinting standing up. So great job, Lonnie, and congratulations.